Bien, y llegamos a un momento muy especial. Se trata del lanzamiento oficial, una alianza, nuevas oportunidades para la región. Ok, vamos entonces a dar inicio ahora a una persona muy especial que nos acompañó ayer y nos acompaña hoy nuevamente, Juan Pablo Córdoba, CEO de nuam. Así que adelante, Juan Pablo, bienvenido en esta recta final ya de nuestro congreso en su tercer y último día.
Bueno, muy buenos días. Hay que imprimirle un poco de entusiasmo y ánimo a esta mañana. Sé que pasará una velada muy agradable anoche. Vamos a despertarnos un poquito. Y fieles a lo que hemos venido haciendo es construyendo con entusiasmo un mercado más vibrante y dinámico para nuestra región. Estamos convencidos que las economías de escala son vitales para construir ese círculo virtuoso de los que nos hablaba Andrés, de la liquidez. Si generamos estas economías de escala en nuestros mercados, la pregunta que se hacía la superintendencia, ¿por qué no generamos suficientes productos locales? ¿Por qué no tenemos la escala suficiente para hacerlo? Y competir en un contexto totalmente globalizado, es muy difícil hacerlo y por eso estamos en esta construcción de este sueño, que es la construcción del mercado único regional, Chile, Perú y Colombia. Fieles entonces a este proceso que estamos construyendo y trabajando conjuntamente desde los tres países para posicionar nuestro mercado a nivel global, vimos que era fundamental buscar una alianza con alguno de los líderes globales en la producción y distribución de índices, la generación de índices de los mercados financieros. Evidentemente, iniciando por el mercado de renta variable, que es donde estamos, digamos, concentrando nuestros esfuerzos. Ahí, obviamente, hay un grupo de proveedores internacionales que pueden hacernos que podrían ser candidatos para esta alianza y después de un proceso elaborado con los equipos de los tres países, llegamos a seleccionar a MSCI como nuestro aliado para la generación del índice regional. Este es un hito bien importante para nuestro mercado, es un hito más en el proceso de construcción del mercado integrado. Lo que vamos a generar es un índice que agrupa las empresas de los tres países con una metodología internacionalmente reconocida y con la credibilidad y visibilidad que puedes tener con un aliado como es MSCI. Así que para conversar un poquito sobre este tema, quiero invitar a George Harrington, que me acompaña nos acompaña en la mañana de hoy. Vamos a tener una breve conversación simplemente para contarles de qué se trata esta alianza, de qué se trata el índice y cómo vamos a trabajar en los próximos meses. George. Para beneficio de George, lo vamos a hacer en inglés. Como saben, hay traducción simultánea si alguien necesita. Vamos a hablar despacio, ¿cierto? Slowly.
Sí.
Vamos a hablar despacio. Perfecto, gracias. Bueno, maybe it's better that you do your introduction rather than I do the introduction. So tell us about you and your role in MSCI, and we can get started from there.
Yes. Thank you, and it's great to be here in Cartagena. For Esa Bolsa with BBC and nuam and the entire Colombian investment community. So I've been with MSCI for the last 6 years in New York City. I look after two primary businesses. One, most pertinent to today's discussion, is our global derivatives and exchange relationships that we maintain around the world with exchanges. And then extending that out into the brokers and the market-making community for the creation of listed futures and options, as well as OTC products. I'm also responsible for our fixed income business, for the generation of indexes, as well as our analytics and our ESG segments for everything in fixed income.
So George, probably everybody has heard about MSCI, but tell us, what is MSCI? What does MSCI mean for global markets?
Mm-hmm. Yes, great question. MSCI is a global financial services firm. We are in our 55th year of creating indexes, for really for global market participants. We are certainly best known for our larger global brands like our all-country world index, the MSCI World Index, and then of course the MSCI Emerging Markets Index, just being three of the major flagships that we have out there. We also have a strong franchise in analytics with our Barra and Risk Manager products, and are a market leader in the ESG and climate space, and an emerging player in the private assets business as well.
So let me go deeper into the emerging market role. You mentioned that, of course, your indices are recognized around the world, and the main asset managers around the world use, of course, all references from all index providers. But in terms of emerging markets, how is MSCI positioned in the emerging market world in terms of assets under management and different asset managers?
So when MSCI looks at the total assets that are tracking us, there are various components of that. Obviously, purely benchmark funds, ETFs, listed futures and options, and the total assets tracking MSCI is in excess of $15 trillion. In the emerging market space, 1.5 trillion in assets are tracking the emerging market indexes. And then when we look further down into the ETF assets related to emerging markets, about 500 billion in assets are ETF assets. We have a very strong market share in that space. Our emerging markets derivatives are the emerging markets futures contracts that we have are the third largest futures complex globally, and that goes across multiple exchanges where those listings have occurred. And I think that in EM in general, the pulse of the market very much focuses on MSCI, the larger EM product, and then breaking down into separate areas with EM Latam, EM Asia as key investor benchmarks for all emerging market investing.
In that distribution, of course, in this part of the world, we're interested in how do we get LATAM further in front of investors. How can this partnership help us putting LATAM and of course nuam in front of global investors to raise the visibility and credibility of our markets?
Absolutely. I think that when we, Juan Pablo and the nuam team began discussing, with MSCI the potential for nuam, we immediately saw that this bigger block of Colombia, Peru, and Chile could have immediate appeal to the global investor base. So the asset owners of MSCI, who are far and away the largest asset owner block, in the world today, they're always looking for new developments in EM, and this certainly has a great appeal to that investor block. I think one of the things that we've discussed with the nuam team is the ability for MSCI to put together focus events for global investors to look at what does the nuam block represent, who are the issuers, what are the returns, or how do they generate alpha with the nuam investment. I think that what will likely come from this is exciting new product development. But the first steps in the early stages are going to be educating the global investing market to what nuam is and how it adds excess value in terms of the emerging market portfolio that they hold.
Okay, thanks, George. To us, partnering with a firm like MSCI, of course, brings, first of all, credibility in the methodologies being used, and something that is very important, the index will be administered by MSCI. So all the data calculations, et cetera, will be done by MSCI. So that gives the global investors the comfort that it's being run with international standards. And as you can see, in nuam, we've been pushing for raising the bar for our market and reaching international standards, both in our technology, the processes that we want to bring together, and this alliance with MSCI is another step in that direction, raising the credibility of the market by partnering with global players that will help us bring the story of nuam to these global players. The other aspect that we value in this partnership is the ability to distribute products further than our boundaries, and hopefully to many investors that are not present in the region yet. What does this partnership mean? This is what it means to us. What does it mean to MSCI?
Yeah, I think as I was sort of going in this direction before, obviously hosting the index, we take great pride in. So we're very excited to have been selected, and we think that for the Latin American markets, it will be a significant, certainly raise a significant amount of interest in this new partnership, the new index, and the issuers that underlie it. I think furthermore, MSCI has excellent relationships, on the ETF issuer side. We've had great success in the partnership with BBC and MSCI Colcap and the BlackRock ETF. That has been certainly a very, very strong success story. We think that as nuam becomes better known globally, internationally, that will likely lead to further product development. Certainly, we would expect that that could lead to new ETF development, and we're excited about that possibility. Globally, we think there could be an impact on the derivatives market as well. MSCI has a huge footprint in global listed futures and options, and I think that's something that can develop, as well as OTC product development. So across those three areas, I would expect that nuam will lead to much further global product development for the investment community.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
Sorry.
You sort of jumped in earlier than that, but let me double click on that one. I mean, having the index is not, I mean, it's very important, but it's not enough. I mean, with all these guys sitting here, they want to make money.
Yep.
So how are you going to make these guys, how are you going to help these guys make money? And particularly for asset managers. I mean, what would be a natural step forward in terms of developing products on top of the index? I mean, what are the avenues that you foresee? And as you mentioned, what are the success stories in emerging markets that we can probably emulate?
Yeah, no, that's I think one of the most exciting areas is that when we look at our partnerships that we've done around the world. So we have a partnership with the Saudi Arabian exchange. That's the Tadawul. That's gone very well. The ETF assets of there have generated new assets. We've seen a listed product development from a future standpoint, and a very, very vibrant OTC market. I think the bigger block, right, of nuam is definitely, I think, going to attract much more interest from that community. I believe that what we tend to see around MSCI product, we see a hub of activity in trading from Delta One product development standpoint around London. Actually, you'll be in London in a few weeks, and I think meeting a lot of the right banks and brokers that will look at the exposures and the ability to generate activity. And then what we've always seen is a strong correlation between onshore, offshore markets. So offshore markets, the global banks will develop exposures for end clients, and then that almost always leads to very quickly development of onshore activity, onshore markets, in terms of, again, ETFs, listed futures and options, and I think that is my expectation, is the direction this will go. It's not overnight. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in the first few months. But again, the next big step for us will be this global education, global road showing of nuam, and then really, like I said, focusing on the global investor community, which will then lead itself to further onshore trading. So I think that the two will work in parallel of onshore, offshore activity.
So we'll have first the launching of the index, then a lot of education, and on top of that, we'll probably start developing products. We'll probably seeking an ETF licensing opportunity probably for the asset managers sitting in the room and creating interest. So hopefully next year we can start that conversation. In terms of timing, what is the timing? So now you've been selected. Of course, you've been reviewing the methodology, reviewing the liquidity and the components of the index. What is the timing for us to be able to launch the index? I mean,
yes. So as part of the process, working with the nuam team and Andres, we've already created the pro forma nuam index. So we're already calculating that today. To actually get to the live launch, we'll be able to complete that by the end of this year. So nuam index will be live and ticking for all market participants. So I'm excited to have that ready to go. And then from there, I think that the education really starts today, right? So, again, the fact that we already have a number of events scheduled coming up between now and the end of the year, we'll be able to put a very, very realistic roadmap together. So I think that in a year's time, when we sit down, we should be, obviously the index will be live, but in terms of product development, I think we'll be able to point to some landmark achievements in product development in a year's time.
So this is great news. So before year end, we should have the index complete and launched. When it's launched, does it have backtracking? Do we have a
Absolutely.
history?
Yep. History will be 10 years plus upon
10
launch.
years?
Yes. Yep.
Well, that sounds exciting. So that's all on my side. I don't know if you have a final message for this audience. Of course, from nuam, the nuam point of view, we're really excited. Again, another landmark in the process of creating a new market, a single market for the Americas, which is open to investment from not only the region, but around the world. For us, attracting global investors is very important, and we hope that this partnership with MSCI will put us in front of those investors and hopefully make the case for the market and increase the flows. Yeah. Thank you very much, George. I don't know if you have a final comment for the audience.
Finally, again, we're very, very excited to have been selected as the index provider for nuam. I think for Latin America, certainly this is one of the most exciting developments that I've seen, in the time that I've been working with BBC, for which is in excess of 5 years now. I know that there's been other, type of partnerships that have been conceptualized, but the fact that this is coming to market, we're launching the index is, again, couldn't be more excited.
Excellent, George. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for being here in Cartagena, and we hope that this partnership is good for everyone here in the market and helps us grow the market. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Excellent.
Bien.